I'm doing something very risky. I'm going to be documenting the journey of building a £240,000 a year freedom first business. Question is, will I make it happen? Now, I want to give you some context. Over the last 9 years, I've been living a very freedom-based lifestyle. I started out at 19, I was fresh out of university. I got an opportunity to go on a TV show called EP1 Weekender, and that led me on to getting an opportunity to go and be an events rep over in a place called Magaluf. If you're from Europe, I'm sure you'll know what Magaluf is. And I had no idea what I was going to do when I got there, and I ended up getting an opportunity there to be an events rep for boat parties, pool parties and events. And this was my first experience of entrepreneurship and freedom. I grew up extremely lacking confidence when I was younger. I had no confidence, I was really shy, I was really anxious. The last thing I thought I'd end up doing was going to be an events rep, like what I was seeing when I was younger, like watching like things like EP1 Weekender, funnily enough, on the TV. The last thing I thought was that was going to be me. But it gave me a taste of freedom at 19. I was doing that while I was at uni. So I was studying business management at university, and I was back to back. Uni in Plymouth in the winter, and then Magaluf in the summer, selling boat parties, events and pool parties. I made a decision when I was 19. I was like, this was the life for me. The sense of freedom. It was the first time I truly started to feel free in my life. And fast forward 9 years, it's been crazy, the journey that I've been on. And I'm not going to dive into my entire story with you now because I could be here all day. It has been a crazy wild journey. To give you a bit of context, I was an events rep. I started traveling the world, but national lockdown hit, so I ended up getting stuck back in the UK during lockdown. I moved back in with my nan. I had no job, so I ended up getting a job packing boxes at Amazon. So I went from this living a freedom lifestyle, traveling Thailand, India, Mallorca, to now I was packing boxes for £10 an hour in a warehouse. It was an extremely humbling experience for me, but looking back, I'm really grateful for it now. But I just wanted to escape, so I ended up booking a one-way flight to Bali, but then that didn't happen because of lockdown again. So this time round, I made my first high-ticket investment, which was $3,000 into a Grant Cardone mentorship, and I started my pursuit in high-ticket sales in the solar panel industry. So I went from selling boat parties to 10, 15, £20,000 solar systems around the UK. I was earning good money. I had months where I was achieving £10,000 in commission, but I didn't feel truly free. I was working 6 days a week. I was driving around the country, living off meal deals. I knew there was more to life than this. So I started running my own ads and I started closing deals remotely. However, the company didn't want me to do that anymore. So I ended up walking away back in 2022 and I started a podcast called Freedom Lifestyle. And I mean, I'll attach the Freedom Lifestyle podcast in the description. Currently filming season 3 now in Bali. I filmed season 2 over in Mexico, interviewing the people that escaped the ordinary all over the world. On that pursuit, after interviewing a lot of 6, 7, 8, even 9-figure entrepreneurs, I started to realize the possibility of like what you could do online. I ended up interviewing a CEO of a $25 million company, my Freedom Lifestyle podcast on season 1 called Liam James Collins. And he went from being a postman to building a $25 million coaching company. And after interviewing him, me and my business partner at the time really wanted to aspire to create the life that he created. And he said to us, we went for a drink after the podcast, and he was like, I've opened up 3 one-to-one spots to work with for the next 6 months to build out a high ticket offer online. Because at the time I was charging just £20 a month for the Freedom Lifestyle membership. I had 70 clients, but splitting it between my business partner, all the expenses that I had, it really wasn't making the financial freedom that I wanted. But his one-to-one mentorship was $20,000. I didn't have $20,000, but I just had this gut feeling, this intuition that I knew I needed to do it. So I made it work. I ended up lending £8,000 off my nan, and me and my business partner, we funded the rest through sales. After working with him, my first launch of my high-ticket offer, I made $20,000 from my first launch. But then something happened. He was in Thailand and he realized that wasn't the right business for him. which is funny because this leads on to why I'm documenting building a £240,000 freedom first business. Because at the time when he walked away, we just signed all the clients. I now had to deliver the program. Now I was building the business alone. And I went 3 months without signing one client after that. And that was when I really started doubting myself. The fears started coming in. And I ended up getting connected to my next business partner, Jordan, who had an agency where he would partner with mentors and coaches. He'd help build sales teams, train the sales teams, manage the sales teams, so the mentor could then grow their business and focus on content and service delivery. He got inside my coaching business, Freedom Lifestyle, but within 3 weeks of working together, we realized that we just connected so much, and we realized that we should join forces and build a business together. So we started Sales Growth Club, and we started building our sales coaching and agency business. And fast forward 18 months of building a business together, we ended up building a 6-figure business together. So we did over £100,000 in revenue together for our sales agency, giving me financial freedom. It was giving me location freedom. It was giving me time freedom. But I was in Mexico, living the dream with my girlfriend, and I was waking up every day and I felt flat, I felt empty. I was joining our meetings because we had a sales team, we had clients, and I loved all of our sales team, I loved our clients, I loved my business partner, but something just felt off. I felt like all the time that I was putting into that, I knew deep down that I wanted to be putting it into this, into Freedom First, into my coaching, into my Freedom Lifestyle podcast. You could probably resonate as an entrepreneur. We get shiny object syndrome. We try and do too many things, but there's only so many things you can do, and you've got to be really strategic with where you put your time and your energy, because there's only so much that you can do. And it went through about 2 months. It was like 3 months in Mexico, in 2026, January, February, March, where I was just a bit confused. But when I was interviewing people on the Freedom Lifestyle podcast, I started getting more signs that I was building the wrong business for me. And it wasn't until the end of March, me and my girlfriend were flying back to England to lock in, to grow Sales Growth Club with Jordan. And he messaged me saying, "Are you all in with this business?" My instant reaction was, yes, I'm all in. But then I had 9 hours on a flight, no notifications, no distractions, just this notebook. And I started asking myself the questions that I ask my coaching clients, that I actually share inside my new book that I've launched, Freedom First. And you can actually download it for free. You can download it in the description. It's the 8 steps to how to build your dream business to £100,000 per year, Freedom First business. Feel free to grab yourself a copy below. And it was these questions that made me realize, wow, I'm building somebody else's dream rather than my own. So even though it was the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life, I knew I needed to leave. And funnily enough, when I left, I started then doubting, oh, have I made a really bad decision? But then I started to feel more free again. And then I was like, wow, I can build the business however I want to build the business. And this is when the Freedom First philosophy began. I started creating Freedom First rules and boundaries that I was putting in place to make sure that my business wasn't going to build me another trap. It was going to build me a business that created me freedom from day one, but also as I grew the business, it would keep growing me more and more freedom. And sometimes when you make that scary decision, let's say you leave a job, or you leave a business, or you leave the partner you've been with that you've wanted to leave, that's when you then start getting opportunities. And within the first week of leaving, I had a client sign up, paid in full, in one go, within the first week. And that was my sign of, wow, I'm on the right track here. And within 2 months, I generated £19,999 for my own coaching business. And then I decided to spend the summer in Bali, which is where I'm filming this right here, right now, for you. But the last 2 months that I've been living in Bali, I've not been focused at all on generating new clients or new business. I've actually just been focusing on serving my existing clients that I have and building the Freedom First book, the audio book, the mini program, trainings, networking, focusing on myself and my health. And I was actually sat on the beach last week and I had this epiphany that I wanted to document the journey of building a £240,000 a year freedom first business. Because a lot of people talk about 10K months and they may generate 10K in 1 month and then they tell everyone that they've done that. But I want to show how to build a consistent business, because here's the thing. I built a £100,000 business and I knew we could have grew that more and more and more, but it felt like a trap to me in the end. So this time I'm completely redesigning the way I'm building the business, and I'm going to be documenting the entire journey, and I'm going to be helping others build their version of a freedom first business. I'm going to be sharing all the highs, I'm going to be sharing all the lows, and I'm going to be consistently uploading a new video with a new update, a new lesson, a new win, so you can learn from my journey in real time, but you get to see what it really takes to build a business like this. The question is, will I be able to achieve this over the next 12 months? It's going to be a crazy journey. I'm so excited to do this. If you're really intrigued and want to follow along this journey, then subscribe to this channel, because it's going to be an absolute movie and I'm excited to take you along the journey with me. But other than that, I'll be seeing you on this channel. I also want to get connected with every single one of you watching this. My Instagram is in the description. Feel free to get connected with me. Message me. My DMs are always open. I love seeing people that are already building a business that want to create more freedom, or you're looking to start a business. Well, I'm here to be on that journey with you. But I'm really grateful for you investing your time and energy into this. And I promise you, it's going to be a crazy journey to join. But other than that, I'll be seeing you on the next one. Hasta luego.